Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than just the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm with my co-host, Anna.
Hello, everybody, and hi, Anna. Welcome back to Unpacked. Today, we are talking all about career and really thinking about this question that we seem to get all the time, Anna, don't we? Through our messages and through lots of different conversations. It's a really important question. It is, do I want to give up my career to go overseas for my partner? And it's a big question, isn't it, Anna? How are you doing, Anna?
It's a huge question. Hi,
Yes.
Emma. Hi, everyone. And indeed, I think that's probably one of the exactly biggest questions we ever get, right, Emma? And because career is such a work, because it's tied to so many other aspects of your life. It's so important, right? It's such if you look at your life as a puzzle, it's a huge puzzle piece. And if you take it out and you go somewhere, there'll be really, if you don't feel it is something that's equally, stimulating and fulfilling for you, there'll be a gap staring at you, glaring at you, and making you feeling really empty and uncomfortable. And I think that's a very fair question. And I'm glad, people ask themselves this question to start with, instead of just, oh yeah, I'll come along, I'll work it out.
And I think that there are two elements to this question that we're going to really unpack. So we're going to talk a lot about what that means in terms of the unpacking of that question. What does it mean for ourselves? What does it mean for our own fulfillment? Then the next episode, we're going to talk a lot more practical terms, aren't we? We're going to talk about how we then navigate this question in reality. So if we decide that we do want to take our career overseas, let's really dig into the tools to make sure that we're fully equipped to create that for ourselves. But for today, we're just going to talk all about what it means. And I think that when we think about this question, do I give up my career to go overseas for my partner? There are two elements to this question. We've got, first of all, we're making a big assumption here that they've got a fantastic career, that they're really ambitious, they're enjoying their career. And then we've got the thing, do I even want to leave my job for another job, potentially an overseas job? But the bigger, heavier weight is, do I do this for my partner? And that feels to me like it's loaded in sacrifice already, that you already feel like you're giving up something for somebody else, which is the biggest, I think, the biggest area where we're going to struggle as humans, because if there's any element of doubt and we think that we've done this for somebody else, then we're gonna regret it at some point. I think whether it turns out to be the best decision or the worst decision, we will always think, I did this for you. What do you think, Anna, just about that question?
Because it's in the question, this giving up, it equals to sacrifice. It feels like, I'm going to give up something for you, and you'd better live up to, to the expectations and compensate me for this big sacrifice. And I think it's exactly resentment. I don't know, that's something that's going to happen if you are not careful, even if he is trying to do his best, even if you're trying to do your best, because the thing is, you'll never know what if, right? What if will be always hanging in the air? What if you haven't gone overseas for him? What if you have kept your career? So obviously the only way to find out is if you decide to go for it. That's the only way you'll find out what's going to happen. But I think, right, Emma, we discussed before recording that a lot of us, I think, just kind of stumble into this lifestyle without intentional kind of plan and awareness of what actually works for us, what are our values, what is important for us. And I think career, let's say, what does career give to us? Like, what is a job? It gives you, I reckon, in best case, fulfillment, right? You can express your talents, use your skills, you have interaction, you have recognition, you have appreciation, you have income, right? It gives you financial stability, it gives you certainty. So actually, I think that's why it's such an important part of our life. And let's say if you're really feeling like, giving up, and in a way you giving up here, I think in this sense, like, you have to stop whatever you were doing because you're moving overseas. And obviously the big question mark is, can you continue something similar in the same field while being overseas or not? And I think what I know, the way this lifestyle works, the biggest problem is the continuity. Okay, maybe you managed to find something similar for this post, but there are no guarantees. You don't know what's happening beyond that. And I think this continuity thing is kind of pushing a big boulder up the hill. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but I do believe it's not easy.
Yeah. And if I'm completely honest, I think I might have shared this before. This is the biggest question, and where I had my biggest struggle to decide whether I was going to accompany my husband to move. And it was a really funny mindset or mental process that I had to go through, because I was in a job that I worked really hard for, and a career. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I was desperate for a change. So on paper, it sounded like this is going to be a great thing. But as soon as that option was put in front of me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I want to do that. Why would I have worked so hard and put myself through so much struggle, education, training, all of those things? Why would I have done all of that to then just give it up? And at the same time, I was then offered a promotion, literally the same week as I would have had to hand in my notice to make sure that this happened. And I thought, oh my God, I've been given this opportunity. Like, am I being really stupid? And I didn't want the job promotion, but because we are told, or society expects us, that if you've worked long enough and you've worked hard enough, then you get this promotion as your reward for, and your reward is more hard work and more stress, unfortunately, usually. And it took me, I went to a coach, and I had to really talk it out, and she actually said to me, she said, well, go in on Monday, accept the promotion, it's coming. I went, no, I actually really don't want this promotion. It took a lot of awareness from myself that I didn't want the promotion. And I had to really dig deep to figure that out, that I didn't want the promotion. And I went in on the Monday and I told my boss, no, I'm not moving. I'm keeping my job, and I don't want the promotion. So I did the complete reverse of everything. I was like, no, I'm not going overseas. I'm staying, and I'm doing all of these things. And she was like, looked at me like, what the heck has happened over this weekend? And she's like, are you going to be okay? Like, letting someone else get this promotion that's basically yours? And I was like, yeah, I really don't want it. And then I think it was only when I got to that point that I was like, no, if I had to stay and everything was the same, this is exactly where I want to be in where I am. I don't want extra work. I don't want extra stress. I'm happy with where I am. And then it was only then that I could actually see that actually I've put in so much pressure on myself to stay in a career that actually I don't want, and I want to go abroad, and I want to move with Andrew, so that I can actually take a break and actually shift away from this mindset. But it was a whole journey where it was like, do I even do it? Do I give up my career, my life, everything that I've built in Dubai at the time to go abroad, and then to, oh my gosh, I've got this promotion, I should accept it. And that's also the people pleasing side of me as well. Like, it's the expectations, isn't it? And I think that this is the biggest thing that we struggle with, and especially as women, I think that this is definitely a lot of pressure of being a woman and having a career is that we have this inner built like fire to prove that we can do these things and we should be able to have a career and we are amazing and we are talented. And men just seem, I don't know, this is what I feel anyway, men just seem to have this automatic like obligation that they're entitled to this career. So I feel like for sometimes when we're then maybe taking or questioning whether we take a step back, it's like, no, I shouldn't have to give up my career. You know, so there's that inner conflict as well, isn't there?
That's right, and I think that's why, like, we touched on this now. I don't think it's career per se. I think it's way more like, what does it mean for you, this career? What was it giving it you to, like, sorry, what was it fulfilling for you, that you were, I don't know, kind of excelling and proving yourself and people were admiring and you were really proud of yourself for what you were achieving, really. And I think exactly often you need someone to mirror back a few questions to you, like you worked with a coach to help you get this clarity on what is it actually do I want and what is career giving me and why I'm so afraid of what I'm going to miss out on. I think the point here is it's not the career or job per se. It can be, replicated, and this fulfillment and the money and whatever can come through different avenues. And I think it's good to sit down and decouple, like, what does let's say if you have to decide, right? Like, there's a person, let's say, and they're about to move, or she met someone, like, like basically it's you in the past, right? I mean, what would you say to this girl, like, to this young woman, or like to this woman? Where do you start? How do you go through this process, knowing that the decision I'm making, I'm making it for me. It's going to serve me, and I'm not doing it because I don't know what society told me or what I'm expected to do. Not because I don't know. I'm kind of now led by my fears.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I'm afraid to disappoint people because I kind of I think a lot of us tend to people please. That's how we also were brought up. And I think, like, really, what do I want?
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did go through with the coach at the time. So after me going in to see my manager and say, no, I'm staying, I don't want the promotion, my next coaching session came up the next day, everything twisted, everything changed all over again. And she said to me, what would you, talk to me about staying in your job? And I, gave her all the pros and the cons of staying. And then she said, and what would you do if you went abroad? And I said, well, I really want to finish off my positive psychology diploma. I'm going to have the time and the energy to be able to do it. I'm going to retrain to be a coach, and I want to go and take myself off to Thailand and do my yoga course. And she just said, she looked at me and she said, your face has just lit up.
Exactly.
That when you were talking everything about your career, it was all like logical mindset. It was your brain listing off all of the logical things of why it was good to stay. And then when you went to the other side, it was the passion, it was the love, it was the excitement. And it was in that moment that I was like, yeah. So in reality, many times people say, oh, you left your career to move overseas. And I was like, yeah, for me.
Exactly.
So it was a really, I felt as if, and I was like, I have to make this work now, because if I don't know, say Andrew decided it's like, no, I'm going back to London or anything like that, I think I would have been devastated, not because of anything to do with him, because I had imagined this new life where I was creating something for myself and giving myself the time to be able to do it, and I was really excited to do that.
Exactly. So because you were choosing for you, not because of anyone or anything. I'm sorry, not even for Andrew. I mean, that was your choice. It was your decision. I think that's the only decision that's going to kind of stick and last, and you can carry it, and kind of and also bear the consequences, because I mean, it still will have some consequences, right? Maybe not having income for some time, maybe I don't know, sorting out what are you going to do next. But I think career and job per se is not the answer to all your problems and questions. And like, it's not a magic wand that kind of, whoa, I have a job, and now I'm all good, because it's just everyone does that. And I know, like, I think that's why it's the women I work with, and like, right, Emma, we discussed that. I think really all of us were amazing. Like, I'm talking about diplomatic spouses. We're highly educated, multilingual, ambitious, often. I mean, obviously, and again, nothing wrong or right. My point is, we're brilliant, we are educated, and we have amazing skills and talents. And I think just the nature of this lifestyle often kind of reduces all of that to just two roles, right? You become, his spouse, their spouse, and their mom often, and that's what we are missing. Because if I, like you, or women I work with, if in the, let's say, past life prior to the posting, they were solving complex problems, they were stimulated, they were engaged, they had people around them, and now the biggest problem they're solving is what's for dinner. Like, long term, I think there is this void, and that's why it's this, like, gap in the puzzle. That's one piece is missing. And I think I do understand, actually. What I realized, again, from my coaching sessions, people say, like, when at least when you have a job, when you go somewhere, let's say to an event and function, people ask you, what do? You can say, hey, I'm a teacher. Or I'm a yoga teacher, or I don't know, I remember in the past, I'm a German teacher, I'm a conference interpreter, I'm a coach. But if you have nothing to say, this is when you really feel small, and I think you're shrinking on the inside, and just like, I'd do anything. So, but at least I have something to say.
Yeah.
I'm not here for my, like, right, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. And I think that that's what's really important here, is actually, if you have stepped away from your career and you're in this process of not quite knowing what is next, you're not necessarily or it doesn't necessarily mean that you've stepped away from your purpose. So it's understanding that a job doesn't necessarily mean that you have this job title and therefore you've got something to say, but also you can create something for yourself. So whether that is through studying, whether it is through your charity work, volunteering, whether it's getting involved in some project, or just taking one of your passions and using it, even if it's for 3 to 4 hours a week. I mean, it doesn't have to take a huge amount of time out of your whole week. If you have something that you're truly passionate about, that gives you drive every day to get up and to show up, then you have purpose. And if that's really for you, it's we have to really take note that just because, I mean, especially in like my situation, I had a job, I had a career. Yes, it was meaningful. Yes, it gave me purpose, but it also came at a sacrifice for myself. So you can create something here, and we've both talked about this, Anna, haven't we, about creating a work or a business that we want to create for ourselves, and that we can use our own time to create a lifestyle and to create a life that we want to lead. And we're not told that we have to turn up at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning and stay late until 7 because there's an after work meeting. We get to choose. And I think that that's the most important thing here, is that you don't have to accept society's expectations and climb the corporate ladder if you don't want to. If you want to, great. But if you don't,
think that's...
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, sorry, Emma. No, that's exactly the whole point. As long as you want it and you are intentional about that, and this is really your decision. What is the decisions? Like, it's cutting away other options, and then you decide this is. And again, it's not for life. You can do something, that's for this chapter, and then the next chapter might look different. And I think as long as you're wholeheartedly just being a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home, I don't know, wife, person, spouse, that's amazing. As long as you really, that's fulfilling, you are happy, this is what you want. Not because, and again, if you want to have a corporate job and a corporate career, nothing is wrong with that either. Like, it's perfect. Kind of you do you. But this awareness, intentionality behind why do I want it?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want and why do I want? I think because the how is the last question. It's always like, what do I want and why do I want it? Because then you can kind of uncover a few things. Well, why do I want it? Or maybe because I would feel incomplete if I go somewhere I don't even I have nothing to say, like what I do for job or so yes, exactly. So that's the whole point, right? What we are trying to bring across here, Emma, that it's not giving up. I would say yes, it will not be the same. So if you want to see it as a giving up, yes, it is. You'll give up whatever you had before. It will be different, better or worse. Again, it will be up to you, and it will be a process. I think it's hardly ever happens overnight that it's all perfect from day one in new place and forever. But with intentionality, you can make it work. As long as you're intentional, you can make it work.
And I would just like to finish off a little bit about if people are struggling with understanding what their concept of fulfillment is beyond a job title, I would really, really recommend, well, A, working with a coach, but B, if you're not interested or don't have the resources or anything like that, really get clear on what you think that job brings. So why is it that you like your job or your career? So is it the problem solving? Is it the management of people? Do you like the learning? Do you like continuously growing? Is it the relationships of being in a team? Is it just being independent, having and going out of the house and having your own thing? Because once you really know which broader theme we have there, that's what you can then take into your fulfillment in any day walk of life. So if it's the connection and working as part of a team, then get yourself involved in community life. Run an event for the community. Do something where you're going to bring people together. That would be super helpful. If it's a love of learning, go out there, sign yourself up for a course. That will give you your purpose and your fulfillment. If it's having independence, then potentially that's just getting any job. Doesn't have to be a career. The career job that you had, it's just about getting out of the house every day. So really get clear on what that job or what that career that you currently have brings you, and why does it make you feel so fulfilled. I would say that's definitely your first step.
Exactly, because then you realize, oh, it does not have, it's like, it's never that person or that place. It's never like that, right? It's exactly what is it, the feeling that it gives to me? What does it give to me? And how can I get it through different avenues, different channels? And I think Emma, you touched on the point, and if you don't mind, I kind of throw it in here. I think for a lot of us, career and job, it does mean security and financial independence. And I think this is, as we discussed, one of the biggest, greatest elephants in this whole lifestyle, because I think the dependency is baked in. It's just part of the recipe of this lifestyle. It's just the way it works. So, and I know that not having financial independence means there is kind of this low grade uncertainty, although you might not be aware of it, but it's always there. If you know there is nothing for you to fall back onto, or like, I think because money and financial independence, it's safety and freedom. That's it. Options, leverage, voice. And so I'm starting a series of masterclasses together, because I'm not a finance expert by no means, with actually a proper financial advisor who helps expat partners. So we'll be launching there'll be a series of 6. It'll be launching end of February. So stay tuned. And there'll be, at the moment, you can just DM me, but there'll be a link where you just can go and put your name in. So if you're interested to learn how you can, I don't know exactly, if you have a patchy career, if you're moving around, if you're not working, how you can still build some financial certainty and security for yourself, maybe through investing, maybe, and also long term, like if I don't work, what happens to my pension?
Yes.
How
That's a
does
big
that
one.
work? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of things. How do I make sure I am safe and secure regardless?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, Anna.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited for you. I can't wait to hear what happens next. I think that would be a perfect time to start to sum up where we are and get ready for the our next episode, I think. So if we kind of sum everything up so far, we've really tried to dig deep into what fulfillment and purpose actually is, and really get clear on what you want in this lifestyle, and whether that career, you know, whether you should give up your career to move overseas, or and then second of all, should you do it for your partner? And next time we're going to really take all of this and into a practical mindset. So now that we've understood that yes, I have my fulfillment and this is what I want to do, how do we actually make that a reality? So we're looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, and we can share all of that practical tools and guidance. So Anna, thank you so much for today. If we wanted to find you, how can we find you?
Thank you, Emma. And yes, you can find me, as you can see, at Not Just a Spouse on Instagram. And my website is also called notjustaspouse.com. And how about you, Emma?
You can find me on Instagram at The Zesty Life, and all of our details are all in the show notes. But please keep doing everything you're doing, guys. Liking, subscribing, telling a friend. It really does mean so much to us, just getting the podcast out there even wider, which is wonderful.
Exactly. And if you want us to unpack, uncover, I don't know, discuss really anything, or if you want to come as a guest and share your story with us, how are you going through this life, we'd love to have you, right, Emma? So
absolutely,
please,
yeah.
We are here for you.
Absolutely, we always love hearing other people's stories and taking other people's perspectives. So,
yeah,
wonderful. Well, have a great day, everybody, and we look forward to speaking to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Emma.
Bye. Bye.